But just like in Minnesota, everyone knows there's many kinds of apples and everybody has their favorites. There's many kinds of garlic and everybody has their favorites. Porcelain garlics or hardneck garlics, and those are the varieties best for Minnesota. They are hardneck because the stem is hard like this. Soft neck garlic is the other type, and that's grown mainly in areas that have a really long growing season, think California. Hardneck garlic does best for us. It overwinters best, and it produces the best clove, and they will be fantastic. If you grow garlic, it's nothing like anything you've got in the grocery store. So good. So fall gardening is a really great thing to do. There are a variety of vegetables you can plant in the fall. Parsley is one that I've planted here. You could plant spinach, lettuce. These are plants, radishes that have a short season to maturity, and so you can plant them in the late summer and get a crop. For garlic, something else was here, and now I need to make sure that the soil is going to be in good shape for the garlic. So I've gone through and I've raked off all the debris. I've added some cotton burr compost, and then I've worked it in, and you can see that the soil is a really nice texture. It's loose. There's lots of organic matter in it. Doesn't matter that this straw mulch is worked in. The only thing I would say when you're doing a fall crop, you want to make sure the crop that you're putting in isn't the same crop you've just grown. So if you, for instance, planted onions in this area, or garlic or leeks, those are all onion family members, allium members, and you wouldn't want to plant the same plant there. But if you'd had tomatoes, lettuce, kale, beans, everything's fine. So I kind of just make sure my soil's loose enough, and I like this shovel, but also one of these soil knives are great for almost all your gardening. And so what I'll do is just kind of make a little trench for my garlic, and it's very loose, so I can even push the garlic down in a little bit. What I'm doing is just breaking up this head of garlic, and you can see this is garlic that I've grown, and it's great. There's a garlic head, and it's pretty large, and I've got 5 really fat cloves. If I was to cook with this would be wonderful. After I've cured the garlic for 2 or 3 weeks, it's ready to be planted again, although we like to wait until the soil temperature is a little bit cooler. So this is the bottom of the garlic. That's the root end, and then the pointy end is the top. That's the most important thing. Do not want to plant like this. Now you've asked the plant to go down and up. That's a lot of work. We just want it to go up. And before I plant it, I like to put in a little of our organic fertilizer. This has already been planted in a different crop, so it's used up a lot of nutrients. I want to make sure there's enough nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in it to help this bulb get going. And you just kind of get it. So it's about, with bulbs, the recommendation is whatever the height of the bulb is, you want to go down that deep. So you think about this bulb is in about, it's about an inch bulb, so it should be, the base of it should be about 2 inches in. So there's 1, there's 2 inches, nestle it down in there. And if your soil's been worked up nicely, you can just snug it right down in there. And this is not hard and fast. This is general. And with plants, I like to remind people, generally get it right. The plant knows what to do. The bulb will actually start rooting and pull itself into the best position for it to go dormant over the winter and grow in the spring. Bulbs are super amazing. You want to generally get it right, but don't obsess over it being the perfect measurement. I'm also spacing these about double the size of the clove. And this is about as close as you'd want to space them. You could go a little bit further apart if you like, but this has worked for me, and I am eyeballing it because that's what gardeners do. So, got your garlic in there. You've got a little bit of fertilizer to help them get going, and then it's just simply cover the garlic. And you see I'm not doing a whole lot of piling up. I'm just pulling the soil on top of it. That garlic clove is about 2 inches below. And then the important thing about planting garlic in Minnesota is the mulch. This is the critical part. If you don't mulch it, this bulb probably isn't going to make it through the winter. A heavy mulch of 6 to 8 inches. You could even go a foot. Hard to over mulch garlic. So this straw provides airspace, insulation, helps keep the soil slightly warmer than our deepest cold. And that's just enough for garlic to get through the winter and start growing again. Now, you'll put this mulch on right away when you plant. If you're in an area, hilltop, where it's windy, you can put something on top of the straw so it doesn't immediately blow away. And I'm the kind of gardener that just grabs whatever's handy. Put a couple pieces of lath or a couple pieces of wood just to lightly hold that down. Once you get a few rains, it's all going to stick together and not blow away. If there is absolutely zero rain, you'll want to water this. That can help keep the straw in place too. But if we get some normal fall rains, you're going to be fine. If there's moisture already in the soil, the bulb can utilize that. It's going to grow a little bit. You might see a little green sprig come up. That's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. You're done. You just planted your garlic for next year. Now you can go do something else fun. Next spring, soils warm up, things start growing. You want to think about fertilizing this. This is where you'd use like your liquid fish fertilizer, which you dilute in a watering can, and you can just pour it all over the top. I recommend using a liquid fertilizer because if you put a granular on top of this, it's going to take a long time to work through the straw. You leave the straw on. The mulch is really beneficial to the garlic growing well. If it seems like you've got too much on, you can pull off maybe half of it, but leave a good 4 to 6 inches of straw mulch on your garlic. All throughout June, it's going to grow, be lush green. Then you're going to see that flower stalk come up that's distinctive to garlic. It's like a little rod and then it curls like a little pigtail. That's called the garlic scape. That needs to be cut off for the bulb to really get to a good size. So once it starts doing the curl, cut it back by about 6 to 8 inches. You can eat those garlic scapes. They're very popular in gourmet food circles. Has a garlicky asparagus taste, nice in a stir fry. You can make a garlic scape pesto, also very good. Throw that on some pasta. But then let that bulb continue to grow. So you might fertilize 2 or 3 times during the growing season to really help get a big garlic bulb. When the stalk starts to turn brown, you want to continue watering, but not heavy watering. That browning is the bulb finishing up its growth and starting to go dormant again. So it doesn't mean it needs excessive watering because it's dry. It's just doing what it naturally needs to do to finish its growth, but you don't want to ignore it if it's very dry out. If we get natural rain, 1 inch a week is kind of the golden rule for sustaining plants. You need to do any extra watering. But if we have some dry periods, you want to give it some help. Stalk is going to be quite dry and brown. That's the time to dig up the garlic. Use a shovel. Don't pull it, because if you just pull that stalk, it might break off, and there your garlic head is in the ground still and hard to reach. So use a shovel. Shovel carefully around each little garlic stalk to loosen it up, like that. You'll have the garlic head, the brown stalk. What you do then is just shake off the soil. You don't need to wash them off, just shake off whatever soil you can, bundle those stalks together, and then hang them someplace where they can dry out of the direct sun with good air circulation and protected from rain. You want to let that bulb dry and cure for 2 to 3 weeks. By that time, it will have developed drier, papery covering, and that will allow it to store through the winter. 2 to 3 weeks to dry. You can trim off the root end, trim off the top, rub off as much soil as you can. You don't want to peel off too much of that paper covering because that will help store it. And then keep it in a cool, dry place out of direct sunlight. Your garlic can easily store through to the next spring. Recap, that's how you plant garlic. Really recommend planting garlic this year. There's been so much more interest in vegetable gardening, with folks having to kind of stay at home and have more activities at their home base. Garlic is a great thing to try this year. If you come into Sargent's, you have any questions, we have a fact sheet that tells you exactly how to plant your garlic. We have some great varieties coming in September. Really recommend it. You won't be disappointed.